Great, thank you so much. And next up, revolutionizing membership renewal and how to increase your revenue and efficiency. So Rebecca Verhouse, Client Services Manager of NetForum Enterprise, is going to tell us how the association forum was able to increase their revenue and efficiency. So Rebecca, come on up. Here's your advancer. If you want to use this or this one.
Let's try this one. We'll see. All right. Hey, everybody. So I know renewals are not the most exciting topic, but I bet everybody here has dealt with renewals at one time or another. And I bet the idea of increasing revenue and efficiency is music to everybody's ears. So hopefully we can find some solutions for you today. So again, I am Rebecca Verhouse. I'm the manager of client services for NetForum Enterprise. I have been with the organization for about 10 years. Prior to that, I worked at an association as a membership director. I actually implemented NetForum with my team. So I have lots of experience kind of on both sides of the aisle before I came to the dark side and worked for community brands. In my job, I run implementations for our new clients. I also manage our team of consultants and do all kinds of trainings, business process reviews, and any type of consulting that you may need from the services side of the house. As you can see, I'm a solo act today. Artesha Moore from the Association Forum had a family emergency at the very last minute and had to be called out of state. And we couldn't find anybody to take her place today, and she could never be replaced. So we are going to channel Artesha as much as possible today. I will not be interviewing myself. I will just go ahead and try to say what she would say. But for those of you that don't know Artesha, she is a well-respected thought leader and just leader in the association space. She's the president and CEO of Association Forum. She is known for bridging technologies and really bringing the staff together for successful adoption and implementation of those technologies. I saw on LinkedIn, she describes herself as having a knack for fixing uncommon problems by working them from the inside out. And while today's topic is neither a massive technology topic or an uncommon problem, I think it's probably a rather common problem. I loved that quote from her because when we talk about the solution that we're going to talk about today, it is really kind of going to the source of the problem. Where do we want to end? And then work our way backwards to find those solutions. So again, we miss Artesha, and we will channel her as much as possible. So just quickly, a little bit more about the Association Forum. Many of you might be familiar with them. I love that they are our case study today because they are really the association of associations for the Chicagoland area. A lot of you are probably members. So earlier today, we heard that we as associations have a privilege of really getting to have our finger on the pulse of trends and seeing what's happening in our industries and then being hopefully able to act on them sooner. And the Association Forum really does that well. They have a large membership base, and in this area, there's so many associations in the Chicagoland area. Again, as you guys know, almost 50,000 professionals that they're serving just in the Chicagoland area, driving a huge amount of revenue, especially for being more of a regional association. And really, again, just establishing the trends, the learning, the networking, and those leadership opportunities for professionals in this space. Again, when we think about the Association Forum, though, being that association of associations, not only can they, help us think ahead as associations, but they are living the same issues and the same problems that you guys are on a day-to-day basis. And this challenge with renewals is one that everybody shares. And so they and you are not alone in that. A little bit more about NetForum, for those of you that may not know. NetForum is an AMS product that is part of the Community Brands family. So my colleagues Collier and Jen had beautiful slides to show, if they are in the back, they have beautiful slides to show kind of that whole ecosystem. Again, NetForum sits in the membership side of that graph. We serve primarily mid to large associations. Our client base is really widespread, everything from just pure nonprofits that all they do is fundraising, to large medical associations, to bar associations, and trade associations, kind of everything in between. In terms of how NetForum is implemented, we also have a variety of implementation models. So we like to say, no matter what your timeline or budget is, we're going to find a way for NetForum to get into your organization and do it successfully. We recently have really started to power up for smaller associations, which is exciting. You know, NetForum has been around for over 20 years, so it has a robust feature set at this time. You know, we have really built on over the years, taking input from the industry, input from our clients, the most important features everybody wants, and it's in that product. So while it's extremely configurable and extensible, it also gives the opportunity to just roll it out baseline. We can do it fast. You know, we're doing implementations in 12 to 16 weeks for a full AMS, or we can do the whole big thing, you know, the whole enchilada with discovery, customizations, configurations, you name it. So again, lots of options when we implement this platform. So Association Forum is a large association. When they implemented about 13 to 15 years ago, they, of course, went through the whole discovery process and have extended NetForum quite a bit. But like so many of our clients, you know, like we said earlier, a go live is not the end, it's just the beginning. This is a long relationship and a long marriage, and we have evolved with the Association Forum over the years. So what that means is a constant dialogue about what their challenges are and how the systems that we can offer, or our partners and our other platforms in the family, can really rise up to meet those challenges. I actually, since Artesha's not here, I will tell my own story of another staff member at AFC named Phyllis that I work with regularly. She, again, is not new to the association. She's been around quite a while, but she's kind of the mouthpiece for the staff to tell us how NetForum isn't working for them or what challenges they've got. So she came to us with this huge Excel spreadsheet of just things she wanted to accomplish. And so over the past 6 months or so, I meet with her every month and we just work our way through the spreadsheet. It only took like 2 meetings to get our way through the spreadsheet, and our solution today was one of those things on there. But what I like about these meetings is that we didn't stop doing those meetings once we worked through the spreadsheet. Now, every time she can bring me new issues, we can have a dialogue about it, and we again can find the solution together. And those are the types of partnerships that we love to see with our clients, and we really pride ourselves on to just continue that relationship, you know, from go live and then well into the future. So one of the recent things we added was our NetForum Express Pay add-on, and that is what we're going to talk about today in relationship to renewals. So if Artesha was here, what I would ask her is, Artesha, how does your staff feel about membership renewals? And I'm sure she'd have a lovely answer that would be something like this, right? So staff don't love membership renewals. I was going to have you guys stand up. Maybe I will. We'll have a little audience participation. So you can just raise your hands. I won't make you get on your feet. So who here has staff that feel like renewals take too much of their time? Okay. Who here struggles with members not paying their invoices on time? Who has inefficient processes for chasing those late renewals? Who has an efficient process? Who thinks they've cracked the code on renewals? All right, so indeed, I do have to give this presentation by myself. Okay, so if anyone has cracked the code, you can come talk to me later. We'll co-present next year. But again, this is a super common problem. The main things that we are looking at, again, are inefficient processes. You know, when we're talking about managing a member base in the thousands who potentially all have different renewal dates, different member types. You have your spreadsheet with 26 tabs, you know, trying to figure out who's supposed to renew, who's not, who's emeritus, who's lifetime, all of those things that we deal with. Already just getting the invoice out the door is inefficient. Then take it to the other end where that invoice is going somewhere. So think of a trade association. Your contact is probably the president and CEO, or any associate or any organization, right? It's the president and CEO. It's probably not the president and CEO that's paying that bill. So then it gets passed around throughout the organization and it gets forgotten about, blah, blah, blah. You know, all these things are problems that then we need to figure out how to get that money in the door to get the renewal and have your cash flow. So there has to be a better way. What we saw was that Association Forum came to us seeking help with that problem. And again, just like Artesha likes to do, where we're dissecting that problem, we wanted to go to the end, which again is how do we get that invoice paid as efficiently as possible? Enter NetForum Express Pay. So What is Express Pay? I was actually just talking to someone about it earlier, and it is not a payment platform. So it's not, Blue Pay or Card Connect or anything like that. It's just a feature that we've got in NetForum. We call it an add-on, which means that it is technically not part of the base product, but it's also not a customization. So once you have NetForum, it's something that you can basically plug in, but it is NetForum. It's not an integration. So you're basically all in one system, which is what we want. We don't want to have to integrate something else for something that the data itself is really housed in your AMS, right? So that's one problem solved. We've got our Express Pay that's plugged right into our existing AMS. What it does is it provides a convenient landing page that can be sent out via email or maybe even via a QR code. I love that idea. So that the member or the customer that clicks on it is taken directly either to their invoice to pay or to a search page. It doesn't require anybody to log in because it's taking you right to that invoice. So NetForum knows what invoice it is, but at the end of the day, we don't really care who pays it, right? It doesn't really matter that it's the assistant paying it. We just care that the invoice gets paid. So again, it is an Express Pay page that your customers can get to. It does not prompt login. It has all the security features that NetForum has throughout. So we have an R&D team that's always looking at cybersecurity, PCI compliance, payment security. It has all those features, but again, it's easy and seamless for your members to be able to pay. So what does that do for us? Again, the classic example is that assistant being able to pay. But what about in instances where you might have some subsidiary organization? So it goes to the parent organization and your subsidiaries have to pay. Or what if it's not exactly a trade association, but you have an invoice for like 150 staff that all have different invoices in your system, but need to get paid by the organization? Again, do we want those all paid at once, or do we want to try to chase down 150 member invoices? So again, ideally what we're doing is we're getting these communications out. We're pointing our customers to this page, and it's allowing them to select the invoices they want to pay, and again, pay them without logging in. So super frictionless experience for the customer. You get that money in the door a lot more easily. Last but not least, just kind of thinking about what the features of it are. And this is kind of a vanilla example, but of course it's branded to look like you. We want your customers to feel like they're not going off into la la land. They want to feel secure. So it look just like your website. And it has all the security that you want. It also would have any new features that come out with NetForum. One that's coming out in just a couple of weeks is our digital wallet. So from Express Pay, they land, they pay, and they can pay through Google Pay or Apple Pay or any of those other ways that we like to pay even more securely now. So you kind of get the best of everything through this feature of a no login payment of an invoice. So what are the results? We definitely are seeing from the association forum that the members are redoing on time or even early. They are getting the payments in the door in much quicker fashion, right? They've already seen, more than 15% around just using it. They can tell how they're getting paid because it kind of looks like almost an anonymous payment if you're looking at who the ad user was because they're not logged in. But again, they're really able to see that the transactions are coming in quicker and more seamlessly. So what then that does, if we started at the end of this problem, now we work our way backwards. So suddenly we're not chasing so many invoices. So now we think, how do we pair this with other features in our AMS? How do we automate the communications? How do we find out who wants to pay the invoice? Who pays together? Think again, back to those subsidiary organizations or your staff at an organization that need to all be paid together. Suddenly the staff or your other tools that you have in the AMS, suddenly you've got a little bit more brain space to start to think about how to solve those problems. And so now we work our way back. For the association forum, we then leveraged what we call the call to action feature in NetForum to create some really dynamic queries that identified when the members are due for their invoice. Within that query, then, again, it's dynamic. They could run this every day if they wanted to. So if you have just rolling memberships, it's something that could literally be happening constantly. It identifies who's due, who's overdue, who should be asked for the first time because they're due in 3 months. Those communications then can go out automatically. And again, they can be directed directly to their invoice to pay or to a search page where they can search by their account number, by their invoice number, or by any other criteria that you configure when you implement Express Pay. So now we've got the end result, Express Pay. We're using a built-in feature of that call to action to automate the communications. And again, now more staff time is freed up to solve more problems. So whether it's about the renewals or bigger picture thinking, the staff has a little bit more brain space to, really use what they're good at, right? Which is dealing with your members and deepening their engagement. So just a few other things before I wrap up on this. We have a number of clients using this. I pulled a couple of other quotes out, again, just so you guys could hear from a few other clients. The Association of Corporate Counsel, ACC, they also use Express Pay. And what they said is, since adding NetForum's Express Pay solution, we've seen a shift to people paying invoices before or on time instead of late. With Express Pay, I've had 150 corporate members renew at once with the click of one link. It's easy, it's fast, and anyone can pay the invoice from anywhere. So again, that sounds like the dream, right? That's what we're all going for. So what if we think beyond membership? This is not just for our membership renewals. What if we use similar thinking and similar solutions to get other types of payments? So anywhere that you need an invoice to be paid timely. So maybe it's a pledge payment for those of us that have foundations. Maybe it's getting your sponsorship payments or your exhibitor fees. These things that sit out there, they might be on payment plans and come in chunks or come in installments. Again, Express Pay is going to support that. But moreover, we're giving a solution to our customers to make it easy for them to get that money. We want to take away that friction. And then again, it's just the launching point. So whether we're thinking about Express Pay, we're thinking about using the kind of automation capabilities of sending out those communications, the more that we free up our staff to think about how we build on that, the more creative we can get. So what if using the fact that you're receiving these payments via Express Pay, what can we do with that data? How can we use AI, or how can we use, Nucleus, our analytics platform, or another analytics platform to, analyze that and figure out why they're paying early, who is paying early, which associations are using this? How are they paying together? Are they wanting to pay 3 months early? Well, why don't we ask them then, right? So as long as we're starting to get that data, then we can start to use it. And again, hopefully your staff has a little bit more capacity to actually make those decisions and ask those questions when some of their processes are made more efficient. So I will go ahead and wrap up with one more quote. Again, this one is actually from the Association of Corporate Counsel. You can see Artesha's quote here. This is very much in line with what Artesha said as well. But ACC said, "We are a growing and evolving organization. We've had many staff changes and struggle to find staff to fill positions. So we are always finding places where we can maximize the efficiencies of the system that is already there, right? So taking advantage of what you already have in place. And so some of this is technical and some of it is cultural and emotional. I found that to be really important as well. So some is technical, some is cultural and emotional in how we're going to change the way we do business within our systems that are within or tangential to NetForum. So I invite you guys to really think about that. No matter what AMS you're using, are there ways that you can leverage automation capabilities to create those messages or create those lists? How can you drive them to get that payment in the door? How can you follow up on that in an automated way? Again, whether we're using AI or using baked in tools of your system, how can you put as much automation there to, again, when you actually have to use a staff person's time, make it valuable. Make that staff person be using the time to pick up the phone and have a real conversation, not churning through the Excel spreadsheet or, sending out a PDF to just hope that they pay that invoice. Let's use the system to do the work for us. So again, wrapping up, if Artesha was here, she probably would have said all that much more eloquently than I did. She would be able to give you even more personal anecdotes. But again, Express Pay and revolutionizing the way that you do renewals can be a game changer for your association. When we think about the association forum, they are always trying to do that as well. Just last little plug for them. Again, if you're familiar with their content, you know how amazing it is. These are a couple of their events that they have coming up. So if you're a member, definitely check those out. I highly recommend. And I thank you guys very much for your time today. I'll go ahead and wrap it up, and feel free to come meet me during the networking or email me. But are there any questions before I turn the mic over?
Yeah, Rebecca, there's actually a couple here from our virtual audience. One is, could we please get the link to this company's website, Express Pay? Is that
Well, it's NetForum AMS.
Okay.
So there's the link, NetForum AMS. That's our website. So
All right.
Express Pay is part of the NetForum product.
Okay. So you have to be using NetForum for Express Pay?
That's
or-
right. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Great question.
All right, thank you. And
Yeah.
then another question is, it sounded like your team did a utilization review. And so what was that process and how much time and effort did Artesha's staff have to participate to get to the point where they are today of, getting the
Yeah.
payments in and everything else?
Yeah, it's a great question. Do you mean specifically to solve that problem or just in like a full utilization review?
Well, let's start with the full and then we can dive in
Sure.
deeper.
So I was actually just talking to Luke, who you guys saw in the executives panel earlier, because I'm actually doing a utilization review with them right now at AHA. And so it's something that I really recommend, if you guys aren't familiar with that idea at your association, doing with your AMS partner every 5 years or so at minimum, right? So it's all part about deepening that relationship. So what that is it's working with a consultant to talk about how you use the system, what your pain points are, and kind of analyzing how your business currently aligns with your AMS. A lot of times you will find that most of your pain points are being solved by your current platform. You just might need to rethink your culture, your emotional response, and some of your ways of using it. But in terms of staff time, to answer that question, Association Forum did engage in something like that with us. It's usually, the actual hands-on time. It can be anywhere from 8 to 10 hours of staff time, right, to just talk to us. But then we give recommendations. And so then they can usually implement those solutions based on those pain points in anywhere from a number of weeks to a number of months, depending on how complex. This particular implementation of Express Pay and our recommended solutions, it's super easy to turn this on. And our solutions that we provide, you can implement Express Pay in 2 weeks, basically. You write the queries, you get your lists that you want to send out, your renewal notices. You have that landing page for them to go search or land on their invoice, and you're ready to roll. So that particular solution is a very easy implementation. But when we talk about a utilization review where we said, oh, we recommend this for you, that's a little bit bigger engagement, but well worth your time. So again, explore that with your AMS partner if you have not already. It's definitely a useful it's a useful thing to do.
Great. And for some of us who are exploring this 5-year kind of, hey, how can you be best prepared for these sessions? Do they have to do homework or understand the future state? What does that process look like?
Great question. So what I always advise, again, if you're looking at something like a utilization review to solve these types of problems, the way we do them is we give out a questionnaire and kind of just ask for your pain points and ask for how you're doing things. But what I generally see is that the more to be prepared, it's basically to just have your staff participate, right? And so it's preparing them to invest a little bit of time and be willing to be transparent about their current business and their current practice. So prior to that, they can gather materials if you've got SOPs or you've got, reports that are problematic. But again, what it really is to prepare for it is just bringing the right people to the room, which ultimately is your end users. It's not about the C-suite coming and talking to us. It's about the boots on the ground and getting to say, here's how I use the system. Here's how I deal with my members, recommend something to me to make that a little bit easier. That's where we get big gains in these types of engagements.
Any other questions for Rebecca or Artesha?
Yeah, or Artesha. I can always pass them along to her if you guys have questions. All right. Thank you guys so much.